Hello, everyone, and you're very welcome to the Man United agenda. It is Champions League preview night. Hello, everyone, and you're very welcome back here to the Man United agenda. It is just after 9 o'clock, and just like clockwork, it's me and Mr. B, and of course, OMONDI Juma. Welcome, gentlemen.
How we doing, Rebel?
Can't complain now. There's definitely plenty to be sinking our teeth into. And I believe that there was a casualty in the English sides today. Newcastle, I believe, lost away from home. Am I correct in thinking?
2-0 away at Dortmund. So they're now on 4 points with Paris Saint-Germain and Dortmund on 7 points. So they could be dropping down to Europa League because they've got to go to Paris, haven't they? They beat them at home already. And they've got to play AC Milan again, and Dortmund are out of the way. So all they've got left now, they've got to play Paris and AC Milan. 2 tough games.
So one of them is a must-win, basically, to nail Europa League placing.
They got 4 points, so the win 2, that would be 10 points, which usually qualifies you. So they have to win both games necessarily now.
Mr. B, not an easy challenge, especially going to Paris now that Neymar's gone.
To be fair, I want them to go in Europa. I don't want them to qualify out of Champions League. Let them go in Europa. Like with us, it's either Champions League or nothing. Let them get Europa League football. Let them keep, because the injuries now are just starting to kick in that little bit now. So we're going to start hearing all of these managers talk about the injuries that they have when we've been quietly moaning about our injuries, not blurting them out. But we know what we've had missing. So hopefully it'll level itself out now towards the end of the season.
Absolutely.
Like, welcome to the big time, Newcastle. I mean, their first 11, great. They had a season last season with no Europe. They're able to sort of progress and push on in the league. And now they're starting to feel it with all these injuries they've had and a bit of gambling issues as well. But yeah, I think their home form is always going to be good. But I expect them to beat Dortmund in the previous leg, and they lost it. So that I think that was a turning point for them.
Absolutely. But of course, we're not here to talk about the fortunes of Newcastle United. We're talking about Manchester United. And coming up on the show today, we will have some comments from the manager's press conference. We have some European stats, as well as where the table sits and possible FC Copenhagen lineup as well as predicted by OneFootball. Then following that, we will be, of course, go with our staple, the Solo 11, where the panel will be, of course, cutting Solo's predictions apart. And finally then, the one, the only, score predictions and questions for the panel from the audience. So plenty to get into, but Monday, do you want to hit some comments before we start into it?
First of all, as you all know, this week's been a fabulous week because you're back, Rebel. You're back. And Moss Sports World is saying the rebellion is back. That would be you, not David Bellion, the former Man United player. It's Rebel, the rebellion. Big up to Football United TV. Go subscribe to his channel. He does some wonderful stuff, especially around Europe and international football as well. That's Matt. How you doing? He says, big up, everybody. Big up to Big T. Hope you're doing well. He says, smash that like. Thank you, Big T. Lucky Sings in the house. He says, Rasmus Haaland, Garnacho in. He wants them both in, playing tomorrow. We'll come to that when we do the Solo 11. And then on cue, there is Solo with his good evening to everyone. Hope you're doing well, Solo. Lucky Sing again saying here, we have a big clash tomorrow. Training starts it off. Okay. And Sub Vids, you arrived late yesterday. You were in early this morning. Well done. Punctuality, we love that. And 1-1 AC Milan and PSG, 2-0 to Atletico against Celtic as well, and 1-0 to Lazio at the moment. Great little update there. Big up to Amonde and Rebel. And he hasn't forgotten you. Big up, Mr. B. Glad to see you smile, bro. Last one here from Moss Wild. He said, thinking this is Rasmus coming out party this week. I like Miss Jackson getting Hattie on spuds. Anything possible, eh? He's already a top goal scorer in the Champions League, so we haven't got no worries there.
Absolutely. And now, before actually we do get into the meat and bones, there is something that's just after coming across my phone. Apparently, Jane Sancho has been removed from the first team WhatsApp group. Is that the final blow to the career of Jadon Sancho with our club?
Rebel, this whole saga. I mean, he's not in the first team, so what's he in the group for? You know what I mean?
Fair.
If he's not in the first team, then he's not supposed to be in the group. So I don't see it as a problem. I mean, look, this is now, because we won a game, this is now the stuff that the press are now releasing to get Man United's name out there so they can sell or get their clicks or whatever. So I think it's a nothing story, to be fair.
It's absolutely massive. I mean, most people these days use WhatsApp. So when you're being edged out of a group or you don't respond into a group, it's terrible. No more that kind of thing. You're out, you know, whether it's your girl or something, blocks you, no more chat. You go back and reminisce of all the chats you used to have and go scroll the way up and see how that love affair started and how it ended. And the same goes with Sancho. He's been locked out. He's trapped like Colonel Abrahams. You can't get in. And that is the final straw for me. That's the final nail in the coffin. It's massive news. What's up? You're out. That's what's up.
And Mr. B mentioned the press. And of course, we did have a press conference. So we're going to open the discussions with some comments from that press conference. So first of all, Eriksson said on the Copenhagen players saying they're favourites. He's saying they're entitled to feel like they're favourites, but we'll go into the game with confidence and aiming to win as well. Ten Hag speaking about Rashford. Marcus is very committed to Manchester United Football Club. He's investing hard in training to get back into form. On Højlund, he says he understands the difficulties in creating chances for him. But of course, we speak to him about this. He's still a young player. He's smart and understands the situation he's in. We want to score goals, and he's keen and working very hard in training. And finally, on this page, Ten Hag is saying Casemiro and Martinez are not expected back before Christmas. Any thoughts on that first page, gentlemen?
Yeah, I just want to jump on a couple of things. Massive game yesterday in the Premiership. Chelsea beat Spurs 4-1. And in the post-match interview, the two goal scorers, Palmer and Jackson, were talking. And the commentator said to Palmer, asked him about how he felt Jackson was doing. And he said that he needs to work harder in training. But he meant it as in we need to improve, you know. But it was interesting that. And I thought, okay, that reminds me of a certain Sancho. But here, Ten Hag, the second quote, Ten Hag on Rashford's form. So he's obviously asked about Rashford's form. He says here, Marcus is very committed to Man United. He's invested hard work in training to get back into form. I think that's key here. That's acknowledging that he's not in form. And I think for the managers to acknowledge that, maybe it's a slip up, but maybe it's an intelligent thing to say. We all acknowledge he's not playing well. He's not getting those 30 goals. He's not even on that sort of trajectory right now. What's the word? Trajectory, yeah. Is that right?
Trajectory.
Trajectory. Sorry, excuse me. So he's not even on that plane right now. So I think that's a key thing to say to get back to form. Maybe that's to get him. He's had a bit of a rough time this week with the quotes that we touched on yesterday's show, and we want him to get back to form. The manager said he's working hard, and he hopes he gets back to it as well. So just like Cole Palmer said to Jackson yesterday about working harder in training, I think there's another quote there. It's just an indicator that he can get better, and we need more from him. The other thing that sort of sprung out to me was the first one, Eriksson on Copenhagen players saying they're favourites. So the Copenhagen players are walking around talking about they're ready for us, huh? Is that right? Okay. That's all the momentum you need, isn't it? Imagine you're a Man United player right now, and you roll up to Denmark, and you're talking to Rasmus, and you talk to Eriksson, and say, okay, what's this all about? And then you're hearing in the newspapers that they're saying, we're going to do them. We're ready for this. That's all the momentum you need. I think that will give us the edge now to go out there and prove them wrong.
Lovely stuff. Mr. B, I'm going to get you on the second page because I think Amondi's covered everything that needs to be said on that first page. So I'm not going to read them all this time. Is there anything out of these that you want to kind of jump on?
Let's see. The banner. Yeah, the players made their efforts, but they can always do more. The fans expect the highest standards, and we have high expectations. And when you're not playing, you still have to win. So obviously, that's talking about the banner that McTominay alluded to in his listen, at the end of the day, I think they're starting to acknowledge the fans more at the moment. For whether that's I mean, look, Rashford's thing coming out could have been a club thing saying, you know, get yourself involved, let them know that, you know, you're not moving or whatever. And then obviously with the banner, was it a kick up the arse? I don't think it was. I don't think it was. But I'm glad that it was there, and it's something that is actually being brought up. These players need to start taking responsibility for the crap that they've been serving out for the last 2 months. You know, we have them hiding behind their, you know, their fame wall. I'm glad Rashford, thinking about it, I'm glad Rashford came out and said what he says. It's opened himself up now for it, but he has to understand that if he's big enough to jump on, you know, he could have jumped on our one. We back him all the time, son of a bitch. You know what I mean? We back him, you know. Maybe we need to start cussing these players, you know, to get on their back, you know. But look, I'm more than happy with the form of certain players. And like anything else, we're really disappointed in the form of others. Ten Hag on United getting back to their best by getting more to our 11 and getting routines in the team. So far, we've had to change a lot. The midfield balance, look, he knows he's not there, which is good. I'm sure once we get it, we'll play better. So I think he's actually acknowledging certain things as well. My question to you, though, one day, and Rebel, he's had enough time to maybe try. Do you think it's down to injuries now? Because Casemiro's form had dropped off a cliff anyway. So I'm going to assume that he wouldn't have been in the first three. It's always going to be Bruno. Do you think that he's able to maybe make... He's talking about routines and patterns. Is it these players that are going to be making the routines and patterns? Or do you think he's looking to change something maybe?
Over to you, Rebel.
Well, I think as a manager, and obviously with proper structures above, you're always going to be talking about your squad. What's working for you? What's not working for you? Who's at the end of their career and needs to be pushed on? What youngsters are ready to make the jump and to be integrated into forming some part of the strategy to get you through all your games that you have to play in a season? And obviously, he's saying that there's obviously something not quite right. And we're seeing the introduction of the likes of your Mendy's and a few others that we are going to mention later on. And of course, then with the returning Amad Diallo, not too far away as well, it could shape who makes it onto that starting 11 and who even makes it onto the bench, because all of a sudden then certain positions are going to find competition. But as we always find, the best patterns of play are when we have consistency and when you know you're starting 11. Obviously at this stage, because of all the changes, we don't. And I think he's looking to plan without certain players in the not too distant future. We've heard the rumours of Varane, Casemiro going to that Asian league. Whether it happens or not, who knows? But there's obviously winds of change in the works, and you always have to be looking to upscale your team.
Yes, certainly. Just last one I'm going to touch on. Anthony's form, he says here. So same thing where I was talking about Rashford. A bit revealing here. We all know Anthony's not been playing the best. But the manager says out for a couple of weeks, so that broke up his rhythm. Excuse. Had a good preseason, but had a break. So now he has to get himself back in good form. It's hard work. He has to get himself back into good form. Another acknowledgement that he's not on the best form. And this time, where he said Rashford is working hard in training, he's saying Anthony, to get back in good form is hard work. So it is. Everything's about hard work and putting the effort in. And I think he still has faith in him because he's the guy who brought him in and brought him in. Sorry, not bought him and brought him in. You know, just missing out the R. And he's the one who has to take responsibility for the price tag and playing him. And there was suggestions, wasn't there, from Sancho that Anthony keeps getting picked, manager's favourite, that kind of thing. And I think the manager does want him to succeed, to make himself feel, okay, this is worth my while. Because we've had a few rumours about Gabriel Barbosa coming over in a swap deal to Anthony going back to Brazil. I can't see that happening. He's too much money. His wage will be too much. Brazilian wage, they can't afford that anymore. But Anthony really does need to step up. And I hope the fan base do get behind him.
Absolutely, and I think we'll both all agree here that Anthony probably wouldn't be prepared to not abandon his European career at this stage. He'd be looking at the very least to try his hand somewhere else in one of the other big teams before succumbing to leaving for, I suppose, a lesser competition that is the Brazilian Football League. Now we do have three more, and we'll just brush through these quickly. We'll take the Maguire one last because I know on Monday we'll have something to say on that. Ten Hag on Rashford returning, saying he's 100% ready. He missed one game with a small knock. Whether that is the full truth of the matter, who knows? But I think you do have to appreciate that he didn't throw a player under bus in public, in fairness, if that is the case. And Ten Hag on the atmosphere, he's looking forward to it. The team has experienced hostile environments in the past, like Barcelona last year, and they can perform to a good level and get a result. But Maguire's the one that we will wrap up on. He's saying, we followed all the protocols after the game, so he's ready. He's fine in the game, played very well. So I'm presuming he's referring to some sort of a knock that Maguire took.
They're talking about the concussion. Obviously, he had a few head injuries, and there was a few concerns in the previous game about him being concussed, but he played through it. And with that sort of character as well, he didn't want to come off the pitch. It's so obvious these days that people are really concerned about concussion and the damage that causes over a career of football and in later life as well. So, but I think Harry Maguire, if he was tested, he would have one of the hardest craniums out there, the thickest, hardest craniums out there. He should be a boxer like Joe Joyce. Joe Joyce is a boxer, and he was tested, and they say his cranium is harder than the average man. That's why he seems to take shots well, even though he got knocked out in the last two fights, or stopped in the first fight. But I think Harry Maguire, he does use his head a lot, and I think there is a risk. So obviously, if he felt that he was concussed, you don't want to risk him. You need to have at least a week off, or maybe a bit longer after a concussion. Otherwise, you risk further injury. So a few days after that event, he's been tested by the manager. They're saying he's fine to continue the game, because when you you continuously head in the ball, it does, your brain rattles inside your head. And this is what concussion causes. So when it rattles a bit too much, it causes a lot of damage, and then your vision goes, and then you can't see, and then you get some headache and nausea and all these kind of things. So I'm glad they've done all the testing, but I will still say this: his head is made of titanium, and he can handle it. So I had never had any. There was never any doubt from me.
The only thing I will ask is that he puts that big dome of his to further use in attacking corners.
We haven't seen him score. We've only scored him one goal. I mean, he was known for that, wasn't he? For England as well, and for Leicester, coming up and scoring headers. And we don't really see that from him.
But Monday, do you want to
not
hit
a United anyway? Sorry, not a United.
So just a few comments here. Joe Joyce was a boxer until he faced someone who could punch. That's Big T. Yeah, he was known as Juggernaut, walking through punches. Big up to Vincent. How you doing, Vincent? Lovely to see you in the show and for all the great work you give to us. Football United saying here, in all honesty, back Ten Hag, just the players are not up for it. They're giving us updates about the other games. We're not interested at the moment. UK Strange saying, Bomber Clark. Anthony Herbert's in the house. How are you, Anthony? Big respect to Anthony Herbert. Love Anthony Herbert, man. Radjet's in the house as well. How you doing, bro? Says, if anybody care about it, talking about maybe the games, Champions League game, we don't. I don't mind. We're not favourites. We have to play the best anyway, says Lucky Singh. Talking about Copenhagen being so confident going into that game. And he's giving us a little lineup here, which we will be touching on a bit later. Hanny Bulls. I like that one. And we haven't seen much of Reguilon. That's a talking point. Big T's saying here, there's nothing wrong with getting things wrong. If you put them right, I'm watching our manager now and looking for the fix. Over to you, Eric. UK Strange saying here, just shows what a little stubborn little SHIT Sancho is willing to ruin his Manchester United career for the sake of not saying sorry. Immature little brat. Moss Sports is saying here, I had more concussions in soccer than I had in Canadian football. People in North America don't realise how physical our football is. For sure.
I'd welcome Moss onto the GA pitch anytime he wants to play.
Big up to Moss.
But that does bring us on to some stats. Now, we are going to kind of glide through these. We won't bore you with them all, but I'm just going to hit you with some highlights from the Champions League website. So, this season, 1 win and 2 lost. So we have 6 goals. That's an average of 2 per game. And as you can see, we've been picking up 6 yellow cards, 1 red card, and an average of 48% possession and 83% in passing accuracy. Now, there's a few items there in the attacking front. 6 goals from 39 total attempts and 17
Jesus
corners.
Christ. Look at the attempts on target.
Yeah.
13 and 16. No wonder Hoyland can't get no goals. Good grief.
And
Wow.
it does look like even our dribble stat there's only 51 dribbles out of 3 games, so it doesn't make for very appetizing reading from the attacking point of view. Distribution wise, we've had 120 of 200 long passes completed. Our crossing accuracy is a paltry 21%. Passes in the attacking third are only 99 again. Not a lot considering we've played 3 Champions League games at this point. We've had 222 backwards passes. And the other highlight there then is our short passing. We've had 55-odd passes go astray from a short distance, which is not great.
All from McTominay.
And defending-wise, 41 tackles. And we've only won 50% of those tackles while we've been in defence. I'm sure on Monday we'll have something to say about that in due course. Our goalkeeper we'll come back to separately. And obviously the discipline, we have committed 29 fouls. So we're committing an average of 10 fouls per game in Champions League at present. And against us, we've had 27. But most significantly, 7 of the 29 fouls that we've committed, we have committed in our own half. So, anything you want to say about those stats rather quickly, or have you covered, do you think, what you wanted to say in terms of your astonishment at the shots on target?
Just a couple of things I would say just quickly. That I think overall we got 44% possession, and you would expect us to have a bit more than that. Obviously, we played at Bayern Munich away. They would have more possession that game, but we've been at home against Copenhagen and Galatasaray, and we still only got 48% possession. It's about 50-50, isn't it? But I always expected Dutch sides to have possession, and that's clearly something we haven't really established yet. So I think, like Mr. B was saying, talking about the midfield earlier, this is where we need to sort of dominate the midfield and keep a bit more possession. I feel sorry for teams like Celtic. They're dominating the Scottish League, and I think at the weekend they had a fantastic game with Cowdenbeath or someone like that. And then they have to go and step up and go to play Atletico Madrid. You see the contrast there. But luckily, we're playing in a league where it's a top league. We played Fulham. We played City. Obviously, we played Newcastle in recent weeks. So going to play Copenhagen, we know we've got form. We're up for every game. We're playing at a high level consistently. There's no drop-offs for us. So that's why I feel teams like Celtic will never again win in Champions League, because they're playing in a poor league and then suddenly have to step up their standards really tenfold. So I do think I would like to see more percentage, meaning more control of our games. And I do think we've all seen the games. We weren't expected to beat Bayern Munich. The Galatasaray game for me was key. That was something where we really fell apart a bit, and that could come back to haunt us. So I just want to say, stats, I'm not really into that. We've watched 3 games so far. Let's get behind. Let's go and tune into Mr. B tomorrow. Watch a live watch along, and hopefully we can see some passion, some emotion, and and a big victory against Copenhagen, who I remind you guys their players think they're going to beat us.
And I just wanted to give a big shout out to BATHTIME, who's in love with the glorious PowerPoint. But on Monday, I'm going to come on to Mr. B, I'm going to come on to the 2 players that on Monday selected for attention. I'm going to give you the first one because the second one is Maguire. So Andre Onana, 3 games played, 270 minutes, 0 goals, 10 saves, 1 clean sheet. His passing accuracy, 70%. Top speed of 22.2 kilometers per hour. He's covered 13.29 kilometers being a goalkeeper, which is astounding. But the significant one, the passing accuracy. Have you seen?
We moaned. I would have expected it to have been a lot higher. Rebel. I'll be honest. I know you don't know if they're short passes or long passes, but at the same time, we got him because of he was good with his feet. I mean, all right, I'm not expecting him to have 100%. He's a goalkeeper, but I did expect it to have more than 70%. I mean, look, his form's picking up now. He doesn't look so nervous. So I'm hoping his blip, his recklessness is what I am going to say, because some of those saves I think it should be bread and butter. Hopefully his recklessness has gone now and he's starting to realise what it means to be a Manchester United goalie. So he needs to improve on that passing accuracy. The saves, I would rather he never had any saves to do, which means that our defence is doing its job. So that saving one probably doesn't mean too much, to be fair.
Very true, very true. Big T, we don't have that deep dive data, but next time I will have it. I'll go down further into the stats for you. But on Monday, Harry Maguire, obviously only the singular Champions League appearance. He has scored 1 goal in said Champions League appearance, made 1 tackle, recovered 7 balls, and surprisingly, 90% passing accuracy, Mr. Monday.
One thing that stands out to me, I'm a big athletics fan. to be running 30 kilometers an hour, I don't believe that's true. I think it's got to be 25, maybe like that. Everyone says Maguire's slow. That is like Olympic relay team. You can make the Olympic relay team with speed like that, for sure, with Harry Maguire. And so stop all these slow jokes. What's it, snip and sketch, Rebel? This thing here. And slap that in people's faces. Anyway, yeah, 1 game, you can't really gauge on that, even though he did score and had 1 tackle and balls recovered and that kind of thing. The game was against Copenhagen, was it? His last game that we played. And then I think he's performed really well lately. He's winning his headers. He's leading the line. He's playing through concussion, even though he's never concussed with his titanium head. And just look at his head there. Look at his face. That's a smug face to say what he's saying now. Look at him. Look at his face. Look, he's saying, what are you saying now, haters? Look at me now. That's the face he's making. And I love that with Harry Maguire. I knew he would come back and prove people wrong. And I'm glad to see people are turning around saying he's playing really well at the moment. And we need him right now. It's going to be really tough. One thing I will say, going away to Copenhagen and Scandinavia, Denmark, to play it away with their small stadium. They'll be hitting balls into the box. There'll be a sort of an old school English game. And this is where we need Harry Maguire to step up and, you know, lead the line and clear house. It's his house. Make sure you clean everything out, and stop cuddling people and give away fouls in that respect. His distribution is really good. Hopefully tomorrow when we watch it with Mr. B, we can talk about his passing, or we can observe his passing range, because lately he's been spraying a lot of balls, switching the play, and rather than taking our time to move the ball from one side of the pitch to the other, give it to Harry Maguire and he will ping it to feet. On the sixpence, a bit like Glenn Holder used to do. Really talented in that respect. And we're seeing some really positive play from him in recent weeks. So let's get behind Harry Maguire, because we definitely need him right now. And otherwise, it would be Evans and Lindelof, or maybe someone else, like Tommy or something, going in there. We need Harry Maguire right now. He's a very important player in this phase of the season.
Absolutely. And just to point out, the top speed, what that refers to is the speed that you're traveling at the highest point of your acceleration. So normally in the athletics, they talk about your average speed over your distance. So this is what he would have been traveling at when he was getting up to speed. So they're including your acceleration stat into that. But one quick one for the chat. Do we know whether or not the pitch is the 3G pitch over there? Because obviously it's not.
It's young boys playing a sort of 3G pitch. It's not, they're the only team, I think. Copenhagen playing grass.
Ah, yes. Perfect. So, moving swiftly along, we had the training squad was announced for the 23 for the Champions League. So, Anana, LT, Heaton, no surprises there. But I want to pick out a couple. There's obviously some of our young guns. Hannibal has been hanging around that squad for a few weeks now. But Omari Forson, I know
he was on the tour, wasn't he? He was on pre-season, right, on Monday? Did he score on tour?
Yeah, we did. There's a French boy. Is he the French boy? Because there's 2.
Yeah, I'm sure there's one who played and scored and he got sold.
Sorry, can we just pause for 1 second here?
Yeah.
Let's say hello to Kalula. Now, she's saying, hey, it's Kalula. I will say Harry Maguire has improved, but sorry, he isn't the best and could improve. One man in a match and improvement doesn't mean he deserves our trust just yet. Big up, Kalula.
Thank you, Kalula.
Long time no see. I hope everything's well with Kalula. And you've been deeply missed. A lot of people have been asking about you. So we all hope you're well. Big up, Kalula.
Just on Omari Forson, and welcome back, Kalula. Good to see you, by the way. He's actually one of your own lads. He's from London, 19 years of age, and he's from Hammersmith.
Ah, that's West London, man.
Okay.
Like that. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a French boy we're referring to, but he's a winger. He played kind of wide. It's good to see him getting into the squad. Obviously, with Sancho going out, that probably gives him access to sort of step up now. So fair play. This is what we like to see with Manchester United, these young players coming through. So yeah, I'm happy with that. Just to shout out, I'm watching highlights today of our boy Kobe against when he played under the Champions League game against Copenhagen, the youths, UEFA Youth Champions League game. And I was just watching his personal highlights, and he's just doing everything simply, nice, neat, not giving the ball away. And this is the player that we were raving about, dribbling about over the pre-season. And hopefully he's back from injury now. He looks like he's sharp again. And I would like to see him worm his way back into that midfield. I'm looking at midfield there. There's no one like Kobe. Kobe's stands out with what his abilities, playing from deep and popping the ball around. So it'd be great to see him back in first team action.
Absolutely. So that's our 23. We'll be coming down to the solo 11 shortly, so I'm going to skip that one. But
Donny's not Champions League. He's not in the Champions League squad by half time.
He's not, no. So we have here the predicted 11 for FC Copenhagen. Now, I'm looking at this team and I am struggling to come up with anything for any of them, but I'm going to consult the oracle of European football on Monday and see if he has anything he wants to say about any of these players.
Yeah, so Gonçalves, or whatever his name is, a Portuguese player. He's ended up in Denmark. You'd think, well, that's a bit of a relegation, isn't it? No, but he's a very talented player. We saw that in the home leg. He's their sort of creative flair in midfield. Falk, not F-U-C-K, but Falk in midfield. He's the sort of the main guy in midfield. He gets the foot on the ball, makes his tackles, and just dictates the tempo. And then they've got a youngster. I think it's a coach on the right there, Arkach Akori, or whatever his name is. I think he was the guy that was causing a few problems.
Yeah,
they look quite interested. Yeah, Moroccan-looking guy on the left there. I think it's him. He was the one who stood out to me in the first leg. He looked pretty decent. And but then I was looking at him thinking, oh, he looks decent. But then I think to myself, well, he would probably only be a first division or a championship player if he came to England. I'm no disrespect, but I was looking at him thinking, well, he's not really a Premiership top player, in my opinion. So looking at that side, they're very solid. It's all about systems, isn't it? The way they played, they really made it difficult for us to play against them. And any team can do that. I mean, go to the FA Cup fourth round, we can get teams making it difficult for us. So it's really tough to sort of play against a team like this with no outstanding players who just play as a team, and they will definitely be up for it. As they said, they think they're favourites. They're fallback I can get at them if I win, John.
Lovely stuff. So let's just take one quick look at this table. So obviously on top, Bayern Munich, 9 points. Followed by Gala on 4, ourselves on 3, and FC Copenhagen on 1. So myself and Mr. B had a brief talk about permutations. The reality is, if Manchester United beat Copenhagen and beat Galatasaray, they come out of the Champions League group. It's as simple as that. It's directly in our hands to qualify, and we do not even have to get a result against Munich. Does that fill you with hope that we will remain on Tuesday or Wednesday night European football?
Amanda, do you think we're capable of getting the 2 wins?
You asked the question. Don't throw it back at me. You answer it. Because look,
I'm not confident that we're going to get the 2 wins. Our only saving grace is that Galatasaray due with Copenhagen. So it means that we do Copenhagen tomorrow. As long as Galatasaray get nothing against Bayern, then I would say it's in our hands. As soon as we need a result against Bayern, I think we're done. And this is the part of it. I think it's going to be the hope that's going to kill me, because we're going to go to the last game, and I just can't do Thursday night football after tasting the joys of Tuesday and Wednesday and listening to the music and, just having that whole Champions League excitement, to know that we're going to be going into the Europa League. No. So yeah, they can't let us down. Please, dear God, they can't let us down. But yeah, I'm not confident that we're gonna win the 2 games.
Look, I think first of all we have to win tomorrow. Looking that far ahead is difficult, isn't it? I mean, we win tomorrow, then we're in pole position, then we go to Galatasaray, and that's a massive, massive game. Welcome to hell, as they say in Galatasaray. It's going to be a crazy, crazy game. And the thing is, I did mug them off a little bit. I must admit, I didn't realise how many sort of good, talented players they've got. But they've got Saha, they've got the Cardi is up front. Is it Cardi? Yeah.
Cardi, yeah.
They got a few good players, in their team, so you have to give them a lot of respect. Going, especially with our away form as well, that's another issue that we have. Going away, and daring to win. But it's a mission, it's a challenge, and that's what we have to prepare for. We don't want Champions League football, Europa League football, as Mr. B was saying there. We'd rather just be knocked out, Mr. B was saying the other day, than have to go for Europa League. It's sort of like humiliation, isn't it? The wooden spoon. Look at you guys. Walk of shame, going down to the Europa League. So it's a challenge. And as things stand today, I'd rather be in this position than out of it completely, like Celtic, for example. We got to go tomorrow, starting tomorrow. Tune in to Mr. B, watch the watch along. Back to Man United agenda, back Man United, and we can do this. I really think if we win tomorrow, it will give us momentum, confidence, and then we can go to Galatasaray with that sort of feel and that fire in us.
Well, even if it's a messy win, don't you think that we probably need to put a performance in now this season? Because I mean, a lot of our wins have been, the scrappy kind of battling. Don't you think that we need to put in a performance where, we've got what he feels is his first team and we start dominating the game, and we need, putting a performance that everybody says, Jesus Christ, where did that come from? I mean, I just think at the moment we've got nothing as fans, and maybe them as players as well. There's nothing that they can grasp onto other than the fact that they're outworking. I mean, it was Fulham, for God's sake. They're supposed to be beating Fulham. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
True. Before you go into the comments, please do give us a like, share, and subscribe. We do appreciate it.
Yeah, so many comments coming through. I'm just going to touch on them really quickly. Once again, Kalula again, she's nice to see you guys still going. I'm around, staying strong. Our love for the team keeps going. That's a love heart as well. Obviously, Bathtime was asking, where's Donny? Here's a good one. Big T saying, how does someone from Hammersmith not end up playing for West Ham? The Hammers saying. But West Ham's on East London. Hammersmith is West London. Hammersmith would be Chelsea or Fulham if they're local clubs. Where Fulham, Bathtime was at the Fulham game, by the way, at the weekend, guys. Subvid is saying here, I can't wait for the return of Kobe Mainu. That's no two looks, says Bathtime. But he's also saying here, Grabia Dix is a passing channel to be avoided.
Get him off. Get him off.
Big T saying, where is the taxi driver? Which one's the taxi driver out of the players? And big up to WWE2K, Reggie G. Good evening, peeps. How is everyone? We need to win tomorrow, says Kalula. We certainly do. If Bayern win one more, they will start resting players in the Champions League. That's a question mark. Probably, maybe not.
Let's hope so.
Bartholomew saying it's got last minute against Bayern Munich. McTominay far post volley written all over it. Oh, imagine that. We know what sort of game it is tomorrow, says Lucky Singh. I think he's suggesting it's going to be a tough game against these Danes. McTominay is a player who can win you a game and lose you a game in the same game. Rasmus, he's got playing against his two brothers, isn't he? So maybe he's Lucky Singh saying, Ramus, you top. And we need a win more than a performance at the moment. That's bath time, because the question was asked. Lucky Singh's talking about Mason Mount, Bruno, in midfield. And Big T is saying here, I've always been a fan of the performance. I've always been a fan of the performance, the fight, the comeback, the drama. It's an entertainment business. It has to return. And this, if we do qualify, it will definitely be entertaining.
So that does bring us into the final segment of the show, which is obviously the solo 11. And following that will be the score predictions. But let's see what Solo has concocted for us today. So we have Mr. Onana, we have Mr. Wan-Bissaka, Varane, Maguire, Dalot, Scotty Mac, Amrabat, Bruno, Rashi, Hoyland, and I'm guessing that's Mount on the right.
Yeah, Mason Mount, yeah. Maguire, look, he's got to play, like it or not. Varane, I'm hoping Varane gets some game time at the moment. He's been getting 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. Obviously, we know that Ten Hag's not going to say if there is an issue with a player. But what stage does he start starting games instead of finishing 10 and 20 minutes? Wan-Bissaka has to play. Dalot over Reguilon. Much of a muchness, maybe.
Interesting that.
The one that kind of comes out to me again is I reckon that it'd be more likely that Bruno will be on the right than Mount.
Based on what we've seen so far, huh?
Yeah, but don't you think that Bruno actually plays better centrally?
The manager was asked this, and he said he does play about playing him out wide in a couple of press conferences ago, and he said it's okay because he does drift off into the middle as well, and give us.
But then doesn't that lose our shape? The whole point of him playing Anthony, isn't it? Because he wants Anthony to stay wide, but with Bruno, he then allows him to drift inside. I don't understand. Does that mean the team then plays a different style or in a different way when Bruno plays on the right? I don't understand.
I think Bruno can start on the right. I think when we got the ball, Bruno can give us some width. And also when we haven't got the ball, whereas Anthony might stay out wide, Bruno's likely to come back in the middle and give us a better block of players for them to play through. I just go through. I'm with Bath time. I think Eriksen playing. He didn't start in the previous game against Copenhagen. I think he should be starting against his Danes, his native Danes team. He's got something to have something to prove. I think he should be in midfield. But then it's a tough one, isn't it? With Mount hasn't been getting game time. Amrabat, it gives that solidity. He sort of sits and holds that position. And McTominay deserves to play based on his form. Bruno has to play because he's one of our best players.
Based on his goal scoring form or his midfield form?
Both. I think, especially in this game, I think he's vital. He needs to play. And then Mount. So I think the odd man out for me is either Amrabat or Mount and Eriksen to come in.
I think.
Well, then they play with no holder. So if Eriksen comes in, there's no holder midfielder.
Take Mount out and put Bruno on the right and Eriksen maybe in the midfield. Do you see what I'm saying? I just think between Mount and Amrabat, those two are the ones who, for me, are questionable.
The one thing I would say, and I will touch on Big T's comment with this as well about Pellistri, if you don't have a natural, I suppose, winger up playing out wide, you're obviously increasing the workload then for your wing backs automatically. You're expecting them to provide your width, because if the tendency of the player that you're kind of shoehorning into that spot is to drift in and kind of clog up the works in the midfield, which could be needed at times, your width then has to come from your wing backs. So you're going to be expecting them to work harder. And given the fact that we don't really have that many wing backs on the bench to kind of refresh the lungs, it's not exactly the most ideal position to be in.
I think if we're talking like on the left-hand side, it's different because we've got Garnacho, we've got Rashford. On the right, we've got Anthony, we've got Pellistri. But I think in an important game like this, what he usually does is play Bruno there. And I think Bruno does give you width. You do see him peeling off. I'm saying it's just that at certain times he will drift into the middle to give us a bit more creativity and with the ball. Because sometimes it's not always like the two width guys are sort of hugging the touch lines. If the ball's over on the left-hand side, Anthony would usually be in centre midfield or tucked right in. He won't be completely on the opposite side. he will peel off sometimes when we want to recycle the ball, or if we've got someone as talented as Maguire to sort of ping the ball over that end. But I think with Bruno, it gives that option. He can do both roles. He can hug the touchline when it's necessary and come inside when that's necessary too, and just to give a bit more solidity. So I would, even though I'm not happy with it, I would actually start with Bruno on the right, based on Anthony's poor form, based on Pellistri might be in. I think he could start, but I think he's played really well lately. But I think you'd have to put Bruno in, and we have to be. It's a massive game. We have to win. So experience over youth, maybe tomorrow. It's a massive game, but Haaland is going to be important for him. He's got something to prove. Imagine him getting another brace of goals and winning it for us, especially after he hasn't scored in the Premier League. People sort of asking questions about him, but this is his place to be, the Champions League, the place where the orchestra play that beautiful tune and he can step up and hold his hands on the hips like he's in that picture there and skin his teeth and say, yeah, I'm the Champions League boy. What you talking about?
Lovely stuff. Now, before we get back into that last blast of comments, we did trial something in the chat today called the Q&A, and there is one question in there, and it is from Big T, and he's asking, who is the bigger cult hero, MacGyver or Maguire?
Well, MacGyver always gets himself out of trouble by fixing things, and I think Maguire's taken over that role now because he's fixed things at the back and got us more secure. So Maguire is the new MacGyver by getting us out of little fixes.
Lovely stuff.
I've never heard such nonsense from a Monday, but while he's on this form, I'm just gonna accept that he's doing his job. He's doing his job. He's not excelling. He's doing his job, and then we'll see what happens come January.
Very true. So, Monday, do you want to blast a few comments on the team selection?
Most certainly. On the team. Okay, so decent team. Talking about the solo 11, says bath time. Not sure about Amrabat, but deserves a start over Eriksen at the moment. Not sure about Amrabat, but deserves a start over Eriksen at the moment. So he thinks Amrabat deserves a start over Eriksen, if I'm reading that right. Sorry, what's going on here? BT saying Rashford never. Bruno does one goal override 90 minutes shit performance against a poor team last game. So against Fulham, Bruno obviously scored the winner. Went to chop to shoot on his left side, sent two players sprawling that way and curled it into the corner. I think that deserves a man of the match performance, which he did get. By the way, Big T. Garnacho's unlucky not to start. He didn't lose the ball in the first half against Fulham. Really mature performance. Who's going to know better than the guys at the stadium at Craven Cottage, our very own bath time? And we were being asked here, bath time, when are you back? Have you earned your break? Yes, he does. Bath time works very hard, and he gets to go to games and sit in the VIP area and observe.
With the posh seats, in it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Drinking prawn sandwich.
Yeah. You know it. Three players. Bench for me, McTominay, Rashford, and Pellistri. And big up to Zoe Media House. And for the second time, Lucky Singh saying 2-0. So that was a scoreline prediction. And
speaking of scoreline predictions, we have reached that stage. It is score prediction time. So get them into the chat. There's 9 of you there, so I expect to see 9 score predictions to round out the evening. But I'm going to start with you, Mr. B. What is the outlook tomorrow? What are you predicting?
A really, really nervy 2-1 win. Maybe that's what I'll take at the moment. I can't see us scoring 3. We just don't do threes. I'm going to go a nervy 2-1 win.
Lovely. And do I even need to ask what you're going to predict Monday?
Look, it's a must-win game. Can't draw. Definitely can't afford to draw tomorrow. I'm going for that 1-0 because we don't score many goals, do we? You haven't scored many goals. You put the stats up as Champions League stats up earlier, and it shows that we're not scoring a lot of goals. But we've got 1 clean sheet. Let's get another one tomorrow with Harry Maguire leading the line at the back, and let's hopefully get that 1 goal. Save it to late in the game so Mr. B can be so excited and buzzing.
No, I want Monday. I tell you, I want 3 early goals and the game finished after 20 minutes. I don't want to be sitting down there shitting myself on 85, 90 minutes, man. I don't. I want to be able to sit down and come 65 minutes. I'm sitting in the chair like this, just talking to the chat, not breaking my neck, worrying too much. I know what tomorrow's going to be like. My heart's going to be racing like some idiot tomorrow because of this bloody team.
Rebel, Big T saying 3-0. What are you saying, bro?
Well, he's saying 3-0 to them, by the way.
Said to them.
Oh, wait. Okay. All right.
But if you remember a while back, there was a young man by the name of Wayne Rooney that we signed from Everton. He scored 3 goals against Fenerbahce in his Champions League debut. I think this has the script for Rasmus Højlund to make an impact. I'm not saying he's going to get 3, but I'm thinking that Rasmus will be involved in 2 goals tomorrow, and we will keep that clean sheet. So I'm going to follow the learning Mr. B and say 2-0 to the good guys.
Mr. B said 2-1, I think.
I said 2-1.
2-1.
Yes, we'll take the 2. I prefer your score, to be fair, Rebel, than my one.
So Lucky Singh's gone with Mr. B as well, 2-1. So won't be a clean sheet. But all in all, look, these are games. I mean, it's early in the season, but it's so exciting. It means so much. Champions League, bring it on.
And speaking of Champions League, just to give you a quick breakdown of where things are today: Dortmund 2, Newcastle 0, Shakhtar 1, Barcelona 0, AC Milan 2, PSG 1.
Well done, AC Milan.
Atletico Madrid 6, Celtic 0.
Jesus Christ.
RB Leipzig 2, that crowd that they're playing 1. FC Porto 2, Antwerp 0. Lazio 1, Feyenoord 0. And Manchester City 3, with a brace from the cyborg himself. Young Boys 0. So we will be, of course, back tomorrow for that watch along. Manchester United do kick off at 8 o'clock against FC Copenhagen. We hope that you will join us for that live watch along. And I'm not sure if the reaction is going to be directly after the game, but
yeah, it will be. It will be.
And we will be welcoming back, of course, from his prawn sandwich seat, Mr. Bathime with Vaughan, and he will have his rubber ducky live from his tub at home, and he will be telling us all about his wonderful PowerPoint presentations. But that is it from us. It's good night from me.
And me.
And it's a good night from me. Thank you, guys.
Slán.